Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're looking way past just the final scores on the global pitch. We're hunting for those tactical echoes, those subtle blink-and-you-miss-it adjustments and spatial chess matches that actually decide who wins and who loses. If you follow the sport, you already know the real story isn't just about who blasts the ball into the net. It's about exactly how they engineered the space to do it in the first place. 2 matches, 4 nations, and a night that completely reshaped the group standings. Seriously, when tournament survival is literally on the line, you can throw the standard playbook right out the window. So let's look at how the momentum swung so violently tonight and break down the specific strategies that turn these matchups into an absolute piece of sporting history.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's the game plan. First, we're looking at a night of football drama. Then, Match 1, Mexico versus South Africa. After that, Match 2, South Korea versus Czechia. And finally, we'll wrap up with the overall tournament impact and momentum.
Act 1, a night of football drama setting the stage. You could feel the electricity in the stadiums before the whistle even blew. We really want to isolate those high-stakes tactical battles and massive momentum shifts. It is truly fascinating to watch how sheer structural discipline, combined with these on-the-fly, high-pressure psychological adjustments, ultimately decided the fate of these teams tonight.
Moving to Match 1, Mexico versus South Africa. A genuine clash of styles.
Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast in the game plans. Mexico came in deeply committed to a possession-based game. They were constantly trying to overload the wings and suffocate the opponent with a high press. On the flip side, South Africa, they were totally comfortable not having the ball. They relied heavily on a highly physical midfield, a rock-solid defensive structure, and absolutely lethal counterattacks. It's a classic setup.
And you could see it play out perfectly. Mexico established an early dominance phase right out of the gate with this relentless pressing. But man, that first goal was the absolute turning point. It instantly flipped the psychological momentum on the pitch. From there, the second half just turned into this high-stakes chess match of tactical substitutions. And of course, it all ended in a breathless, chaotic final momentum push in the dying minutes as the fatigue really started to set in.
To actually pull off these opposing systems, both sides leaned hard on specific player roles. Mexico utilized 2 absolute standout flank operators to dictate possession and stretch South Africa's compact defense as wide as possible. But in response, South Africa deployed 2 key midfield anchors. These guys just absorbed all that pressure and, boom, instantly launched transition counterattacks the split second they won the ball back. So the absolutely crucial point is this. Mexico controlled possession, but South Africa controlled transitions, and that defined the match. I mean, having the ball for 70% of the game means basically nothing if your opponent dictates what happens in the 3 critical seconds after possession changes hands. It's just a brilliant lesson in modern football strategy.
Right, on to Match 2, South Korea versus Czechia. A classic battle of speed versus structure.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we were expecting before kickoff. South Korea came into this match with just blistering pace. They used lightning-fast transitions and a highly disciplined pressing system to just create pure midfield chaos. Czechia, conversely, brought this towering, intimidating presence to the pitch, a meticulously structured defense and sheer aerial strength designed to slow everything down and exert total control.
The first half was completely defined by South Korea's high-intensity pressing phases. They were everywhere. But after a super emotional goal moment completely shifted the momentum, the second half became this brutal, grinding battle of space exploitation. As legs grew heavy, tactical substitutions became absolutely critical. South Korea tried, again and again, to break Czechia's defensive resilience, but it was incredibly tough. Just notice the contrasting roles here too. South Korea relied on their fastest, most explosive transition players to keep that high press going and constantly challenge the backline. But, honestly, they were repeatedly frustrated by Czechia's defensive anchors. Those key players maintained absolute aerial dominance and held the defensive line perfectly under some seriously intense pressure.
It really boils down to this. South Korea's speed met Czechia's structure, and neither side fully broke the other. It was this incredible tactical stalemate. Both teams executed their systems almost flawlessly, and what we got was an incredibly tense encounter of opposing strengths. Nobody was willing to blink.
Act 4. Tournament impact and momentum. Looking at the big picture. So what does this all mean? Well, the fallout from tonight is massive. The general group implications have been completely turned upside down, totally shifting the math for advancing. And beyond just the points, the psychological momentum for the advancing teams right now is huge. Tactically speaking, we're seeing proof that pure possession just isn't always enough against elite transition teams. That is for sure going to send every single coach back to the drawing board before the next round.
Let's move ahead and see how this builds. What does this actually mean for the rest of the tournament? Well, it means the margin for error is now basically zero. The teams that actually advance from here on out, they'll be the ones who can adapt their tactical structures mid-game and, maybe more importantly, survive the massive psychological swings of knockout football. As they say, football didn't just deliver results today, it delivered statements. We literally watched teams declare their tactical intentions to the entire world tonight. So as this incredible tournament continues, you've got to ask yourself, whose statement echoed the loudest? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.